welcome to CATtheMinion Patreon. I'm doing September Deep Dive Aquarius reading. So this is if you're Aquarius Sun, Moon, Ascendant, Venus, or any other, if you have a stellium, if you feel any way otherwise influenced by Aquarius or the planet Uranus, which is going to be retrograde during the month of September. So if you're feeling that retrograde, this might be for you. This energy also feeds into the Fool card. So if you're really out there starting something new, you might be getting a little bit of Aquarius energy as well. Alright. So I'm doing, this reading that I'm doing is a modified version of my life purpose reading. I'm switching out some oracle cards for the charms and keeping the meat of the reading. So I have life purpose overview, work relating to the life purpose, and relationships relating to the life purpose. So it's more generally who you are, what you do, and how you do it. Relationships doesn't, and like how you do things doesn't necessarily mean your relationships with other people, although there might be some things coming up about that. It's like, what is your method of interacting with yourself and other people? It's like, what is your what is your learning style? What's your like, you know, like those like INFJ and E, whatever the hell they are, personality test things. The work isn't necessarily the job you go to earn money to pay your bills. It's like, what are you working on in terms of your life? What are you, like, what is your hobby? What's your passion? What do you want to do? And then the overview isn't necessarily like your entire life purpose kit and caboodle. It's, especially for this monthly reading, it's what is related to your life purpose that's like a little cross-section slice that you put on a slide and we're looking at through a microscope in terms of what's happening in the next month. So that's how that works for this reading. So last couple times I tossed the charms out all over the place before starting the reading, and I think this time I'm just going to go back to doing it section by section. The first couple times I forgot to do it and started it like halfway through the reading, but if I put the box of charms on the middle section, I won't forget to do it on the first one before I move on, because that way I can flip over all the cards in each little bit at once. So this is going to represent the past of each section. This is going to be the present of each section, and this is going to be the potential future of each section. This is the Aquarian Tarot, which I thought was apt. This is my phrase deck that I made, skimming through books that I've got and randomly opening pages and just paraphrasing what my eye was drawn to. I wanted to like get a better idea of what people say to each other, but not be copying, you know, everybody and their mom on YouTube who has these decks that all have similar things of like, ooh, it's like, I love you, and I don't know how I feel about you, and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that to like disparage the people that are using that, because you know, maybe people are finding information that's useful for them, but it strikes me as more of like skimming the surface in a lot of cases, and I wanted to have a variety of phrases that weren't relationship specific as much. So there's a little bit of variety in what's going on here. I made a stack of about 50, and then I used it for a week or so, and then I went back and chopped up some more these little invitation cards that came with my chapbook pack envelopes that I bought, and made another set, and I got about 100 here, and I feel like that's enough. And then I've got the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, so I'm going to get these laid out here on my table, and then I'll hopefully remember to adjust the camera if need be. So I'm going to lay these out backwards and then get into the reading. This is going to be the future potential of the romantic, or not romantic, the relationships. Notice here that I had a double come out. Sometimes that happens. I had one of them had a triple and I took it, and sometimes it's worthwhile, but oh, I don't need that on there yet. Sometimes you really just want one card, but a lot of the time when if I get doubles and I'm feeling, I'll take them. Now these cards, I noticed there's some flipped like the wrong way, and if I catch one, I'll pull it out, but we'll see. They're supposed to be all facing, like, you know, the arrows are all supposed to be on the same side. I just drew arrows on these to give them a little bit of an idea of direction. Like if they're, you know, inverted or something. There was one in here. Okay, so we're taking this one. That one almost popped out. For a while, for the first week or so that I was using these, or, you know, however, the first 4 times, I kept getting the same cards, and I don't know if it was just the energies in that week or if it was me, even after I added the second heat, which I thought was weird. Okay, so I'm feeling this one and this one. See if any of these are backwards while I'm at it. Okay. Those are from 2 different sets of invitation cards. One of them was an actual American Greetings neon thing, and the other one was like some random thing on Amazon, like a mysterious seller, but it had different colors because I got bored with the envelopes and I wanted some variety. Of course, now I have infinite variety because I have like 100 envelopes for my chapbook packs that are made out of magazines that I had in my closet that I was saving that I cut up that are like mostly National Geographics and like Science American or whatever, the Popular Science or whatever the hell they were. So a lot of the envelopes have dinosaurs on them, and then there's like some old Pentium ads and things like that. And then I chopped up a bunch of drawings into envelopes as well. But I bought a few hundred different rainbow envelopes, and I bought some dark blue ones that somebody had inlaid like little floral thing inside them, and there weren't that many, but I was like, you know what, I'll take 50 of those just to make my life more interesting. So I've got tons of chapbook packs, and they're like little mystery oracle packs. Move this down a little bit because they've got little pieces of art in them, right? I got 2 artist trading cards I made, a lot of them out of little bits of drawings, imagine. And then the chapbook packs are all, you know, somewhere between like 4 and 6 poems that I wrote, that I originally put on DeviantArt and then compiled into my Lantern book of poetry. So there's like Dark Night of the Soul kind of stuff in there. And that's the chapbooks. There's 9 different ones that I made with the different, they have an image of something that I've made on the front, and then the writing in the middle. And I got 9 different ones. There's 2 doubles there. I'm gonna go like this. There we go. So those are spread out in the chapbook packs, and then I made some printed cards that have other merch and art items on them. And there's 2 of those in each chapbook pack. And then, I don't want 3. And then I have these drawings over here. Still have a pretty hefty stack. And I've got, you know, they're a little bit too big to chop down for the artist trading cards, because those are only like yay big. And I'll just fold them in half and put those in the envelopes. So there's like 6 things in each envelope, and they're just kind of, you know, this is kind of what you're getting in there. That one was made out of a print I made in college. I just figured I'd talk about it while I'm laying these out, because it gives me something to say, so that people don't just have to sit here in silence and watch me lay these out. But I consider them to be like synchronicity stimulus packets, because there's words in the poems, there's numbers on them if you can read my handwriting, because I write the dates on my drawings. And then there's the images themselves, and I had, you know, I had a foot-tall stack of drawings when I was going through my giant file bin, and I chopped them all down, and it took me a couple months. It's like 25 years worth of stuff. And after seeing a lot of different tarot decks, I'm like, you know what, these images are meant to stimulate some kind of thought process. They don't all have to be masterpieces. So I'm like, you know, I can use these drawings that I would have considered crappy, you know, 15 years ago, and there's still some kind of meaning that can be given to them, and that way they're not just sitting in a file bin in my room doing fucking absolutely nothing. And it seemed like a much better way for me to do something with energy that I'd put out in the past. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So now, instead of sitting in a bin, just getting older and me not having any use for them, I'm taking these little bits of imagery, whether it's, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog, or a fashion design, or like a little geometric design, or some Disney characters or whatever, and all these little bits of expression are now recombined with sometimes similar things, but often it's just randomized, and it just depends on which batch of things I was working on a particular day, and what order the envelopes ended up being put in. 'Cause some of them are made out of wrapping paper and calendars and some black paper that was in like an old-timey photo album from 1908 that wasn't used. So I just took the paper out of it and made envelopes. I was like, fuck it, paper. Okay. Past, present, future relationships. Past, present, future work. Past, present, future overall. And I'm going to save the charms here for after turning over the cards in each section. So even though I still have 6 minutes left before this segment on my not a video camera ends, I'm going to stop it and come back with another section, because the battery, which told me that it had 2 sections left, is now telling me it's almost dead. So change the battery and I'll come back and get into the reading. I think I almost have all the cards in the view here. Okay, so you can at least partially see all of the cards, and I'm gonna hold them up to the camera. That's pretty good, I think. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start with the overview of Aquarius life purpose, and again, this is the slice of it that has to do with what's being looked at in November, right? So if you have like a 14-step life purpose, this is going to be like step 6 or something, and we're going to be looking at it to sort of, you know, something relatable. Okay, so in the past, Seven of Swords, the moon in Aquarius. So right off the bat, Aquarius in your own reading with the moon. And then we have a double here. The Chariot with the Ace of Swords. Interesting. So we have 7. And then it's sort of like what's missing from here is the ultimate truth, right? We're like stealing something. And it's like this is the getaway car. But it's like you missed one of the 2 swords that you left behind was like the priceless one. Interesting. So the Chariot is also moon energy. Ace of Swords is winter and air energy, which could be related to Aquarius, because at least in the northern hemisphere, January and the beginning of February, well, January and February is in the winter. 5 of Swords. Okay. In reverse. Venus in Aquarius. So what's the difference? I was going to say, what's the difference between Venus and the moon? And my head went right to the High Priestess. And the difference, 2 swords, low vibration High Priestess. I can move if I'm in the truth. Why is this card is fucking creased in a weird way. I can move if I have the truth. And even the Chariot thing has a sword on it. How about that? 5 of Swords is like a mind games, like a conflict. And it's interesting, 2 swords separate and 5 here. This has the 5 total and then another 2. It's almost like it's giving me this like Fibonacci spiral energy. And what's interesting is we have this sort of spiraling thing where these are, if you went around in a circle and weren't just looking through part of it, you'd be able to see them growing up and each layer getting bigger. And I feel like this truth here is like super huge versions of those loopy things. Hopefully, I don't know if my hand was in the way. So we have these loops here getting bigger as like a spiral, right? 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. And I do see 13 swords here total. And these 2 flowers are usually from the death card, but there's 2 of them. It's almost like, and I got this in my card of the day. There was swords all over the place, I think, and I could be thinking of something else, but I called it 2 divided by love. But it's like these flowers are trying to wrap their way around this sword. It's sort of like stuck in the stone. And I feel like this is this same sword, and it's stuck in this like gaping chasm in this Chariot figure. Interesting. And it's like, it's not even in the heart center though, it's like in the gut. There's like it's like in Sleeping Beauty, the vines growing all around the castle, and the sword is just like jammed right in there, and the branches are so twisty that they're all interlocked and you can't quite get it out. It's like a Jenga. This is like, in order to see the truth, you have to come out of this mind games energy. Right, it's also like the last man standing, the last battle. And here it's like, I don't want to win, I'm just going to take what I can off of the field and get the fuck out of here. And I also feel like this mountain here, I don't even see this mountain really, I see this one and I see this like, I'm ignoring it, but this thing's gonna blow at some point. It's like a tower. I also feel like this guy is wearing some of these vines. And it looks like, kind of looks like the guy in the chariot as well. Like my engine is clogged somehow. But I do see this idea that in the past there's potential for moving forward, because if we take this sort of like I'm sneaky, I don't tell people what I'm up to, I might not be honest all the time, but I don't want to keep playing mind games, because every time I try to be sort of win in a mental communication environment, like I can't get anywhere. And I see this as sort of a realization in the past in terms of the overall thing. It's like Aquarius energy. And also with this winter energy, it's like the winter of our discontent, right? I just heard a Beatles song, I think. It's Nothing Is Real. What is that? Strawberry Fields Forever. There's nothing to get hung about. Strawberry Fields Forever. It's like the battlefield. My engine's hung up. I can't seem to move forward. There's too many brambles in the way. And even here, these red loops coming up here. I think it's supposed to be decoration on the sword, but it looks like licorice candy. I need to, so in the past there's this idea of trying to overcome this air energy where there's this idea of trying to outsmart your own darkness and think that you're gonna be able to get ahead in life. Right? It's like your shadow side might be winning because you've sort of given up to your own mind game that you set up for yourself. And no hate on Aquarius, because this is in the past of your overall life purpose. So this idea that you have to overcome this is this great opportunity for expansion and learning. That if Aquarius is an air sign dealing with the swords, you should be proficient in all aspects of the swords. So it's not to say in the past you're a piece of shit. It's saying in the past you were under the auspices of the moon, where your ability to think clearly or communicate clearly was blocked in some way by the moon. This possibly emotive thing, right? My emotions are all knotted up in my insides, and I don't know how to express myself. And even this, there's a star on this guy's head. The star is Aquarius. So 13 and 7 is 20 is judgment. Okay. So there's this idea that 13 swords, a transformation of some sort, is in order. So in the present, we have, I had to stop it, right? Had to stop 5, which is a pivot. And I have 17 and 6 here. This breaks down to 14 total, which is balance, right? I need to stop doing whatever I'm doing because it's making me out of balance. And 17, the star, and then 6, potentially the lovers, which is healing. And Gemini energy, which is the north node right now. Are you there? Please talk to me. 458. So I have 13 and 4, 17 the star. Also 9 the hermit, and 8 strength or justice, which probably justice in this case because of the swords and air energy. But in theory, it could also be strength, because you need the strength to stop doing what you're doing if you know you need to have this transformative moment. Now, this is kind of upside down. It says, maybe I need professional help, 25. Now, that's interesting. Are you there? Please talk to me. Right? Maybe I'm having a hard time interacting with other people, and if I go and see a therapist, maybe they'll help me have this 5 change with the 2 High Priestess energy that's left over from this 7 of Swords. It's breaking the 7 down into the 2 and the 5. And it's like, help me figure it out. I don't know how to get into my own dark energy. Oh yes, most definitely, 15. So this number is the devil. Saturn energy. I had to stop it. Are you there? Please talk to me. Maybe I need professional help. Oh yes, most definitely. Like, it's like a complete paragraph. This is the first time I've ever gotten this much of a flow in these cards. 15 is the devil energy. It's Saturn. It's I'm bound. I'm struggling. I feel chained by these events, right? Bound, struggling, all those vines holding the sword of truth in place. Not letting you see another perspective, not letting your emotions and your rational thoughts meet in the middle like lovers. And then 15 breaks down to 6, which is the lovers, but it's also that choice. I had to stop it. I made the choice, 6 plus Aquarius, and then the 15 does break down. So it's this idea that even though you're struggling, you have an opportunity to heal. Or the fact that struggling is what creates the healing in the first place, right? You know, the more I fight these vines, the tighter I get caught up in them. So maybe if I think about, you know, another way to extract myself from my own mental prison here, right? Ace and 7, mental prison. Then I can have 3 swords left to try to cope with my emotional trauma. Put the 3 swords with the Chariot 10 and have some kind of completion. Okay. So in the future for Aquarius, and again, don't feel like you're crap if you have to see a therapist. And even if you don't see a therapist, you could call the suicide helpline. You could, you know, seek out other types of counseling. I'm not sure what they are, but you could always check in your area. You could go into some kind of group meeting for some kind of trauma that you're experiencing, or in the case of the pandemic, some kind of Zoom support meeting for some kind of trauma that you may have experienced in the past, which is creating this emotional blockage in your core. But the idea that professional help, it just means that someone who is trained to understand multiple perspectives, who isn't going to be emotionally invested in your issues like your friends and your family and your co-workers. So and for me personally, I'm not Aquarius. I think I have something in Aquarius, but I don't remember what it is. I have Moon Leo, which is the opposite sign of Aquarius, which is funny because there's Moon here, so it's sort of like I have the opposing perspective that might be missing for what's going on here. But the thing is that when I finally found a therapist that worked for me, I had a couple of mishaps and it took a couple of years, and I had some people that like really sucked. But and I did call the suicide helpline one time, and they were really nice. So if you need to get that far, then I recommend doing it. But then we also have, when I did finally get a good therapist, it was very helpful because it was a place where I could express myself and people wouldn't negate my feelings. Right? It's objective. Even if your viewpoint is skewed, somebody isn't going to yell at you for having a different emotional reaction to the same event because they don't agree with you or they think you're making them sound bad. So first of all, it's objective. And if it's not, then get somebody else because they suck. It's objective. and they can offer other perspectives and say, well, but have you thought that maybe this? Or, I see what you're saying. Here's a resource that you can go, here's a book that you can read about this that might help you explore it further. I don't know what every therapist is like, but it's definitely something that can help. And even if you don't go to therapy, maybe I need professional help, go get Reiki, go to a yoga studio, any of those kinds of things. Okay, so, and in the future... So, in the future we have healing, 11, divine timing number, but it's inverted, which is interesting. This is in place of where justice would be. This guy is like the magician and the hermit mixed together. So it's telling me air energy mercurial with earth energy Virgo, which is also mercurial. So overall, what I'm getting here in this healing card is mercurial energy. And I think that this card in the future is inverted because we're dealing with... I want to say that there's something about Mercury retrograde, but also relating to Gemini node. And I'm not quite sure what this means. It's kind of like in the future... 11. Why is that inverted? I'm going to come back to that. I'm not quite sure why that's inverted. Okay, so here's the 10 of Pentacles. So in the future, completing of manifestation, right? I've brought my issues into the physical world. 10 is usually like contentment. Like I have material contentment, I'm alright. What's interesting is this female character here is holding a mask, like I've taken off my mask. My crown chakra is open. She's got a little dragon. This guy has a frog. And I see 10, 11, which is interesting. In the future we have knowledge, which is coming in as a 9. So I have 9, 10, 11. What's going on here? I'm getting this idea of 911 emergency, but also like about to start something new. Okay, so 9 is coming in where the Hermit would normally be. And I'm getting like this is kind of like the 8 of Pentacles. Like I'm working, I'm studying. This kind of looks like Hermione. I think it's meant to be a young man, but it doesn't really matter. It's sort of, you know, androgynous. Like Hermione with baggy pants on. Knowledge. Interesting. This is kind of a weird combination. I don't usually get any of these 3 cards when I'm doing this. So I see science, and I see reading, and I see math, and I see some magic here. It's like, in the future you'll have obtained some knowledge enough to have this completed cycle. And it's almost like this kid here is trying to manifest the healing. They're like, I want to be big. And I think this future here is saying, I just heard, don't jump the shark. Do I have a shark? I don't think I have a shark. I might have made one, but I don't remember. If not, I need to make a shark charm. It's like I'm trying, in the future, I'm still trying to jump the shark and get to the healing ahead of time. But it's saying you need to go one step at a time, right? You have to go from 9 to 10 to 11. You can't skip this point where you encounter feminine energy on your way from this sort of baseline of understanding to this, you know, cosmic 11 number of healing. Don't put the cart before the horse. Ooh, I don't think I have a horse. I might not have made a horse because I have the UFO in there. Alright, so let me see what comes out. Well, there's a fish. It's not exactly a shark. That seems like a lot. Some of them landed over here, so I'm going to leave these. I have this sword here that's kind of straddling, but I'm going to put it there. Save those guys for later. Okay, so off here, next to the camera, I have the fire hydrant that was face down, and I have the sugar bowl. Interesting. And over here, just off the card, I have the magic 8-ball and this feminine figure. Feminine energy is extremely mysterious to me. 8, justice, which is what I said before, because justice is ruled by Venus. Libra energy, to go with the Empress. And then on top of that, in this card, there's this dress as well, which to me is also giving me the feminine energy. Wow, I didn't even realize I made her the same size. That's hilarious. She can actually wear that. Okay. Now, also kind of off the cards, I have this mushroom and this, which it came in this position. I'm going to hold it there. This is Venus in this position because the little star, the little gem there is in the vulva position. But in the other direction, with here in the crown position, it would be the devil. So it's not only giving me that Empress energy, but it's also telling me Saturn retrograde, and it came down under this here. So this is, it's called like mesca something or something, I think. Basically psilocybin. It's the, like a reindeer associated with Christmas, kind of getting high type of mushroom. But I also get this idea of like, eat me, I want to get bigger. You know, the idea of perspective, right? That's what Alice is dealing with when she's going down the rabbit hole. Her perspective keeps shifting as she grows, and then gets bigger, and then gets smaller again. My perspective is shrinking. Now I'm taller than everybody else and I can see everything. It's trying to figure out from different angles what's going on. I'm still not quite sure why I have the sugar bowl and the fire hydrant. Okay. I only access my emotions when there's a critical emergency and then they come out and flood the street. And this idea of like saccharin, like overly sweet. Like part of the mind games that were being played was like being overly nice to people who were trying to fuck you over in some way. Now, I mentioned jumping the shark, but the closest thing I have here is this fish. But I feel like this fish is trying to grow legs, right? I'm trying to bring my emotions into the physical world. I also have this tetrahedron over here. Right on this card that I said you can't skip this one, I have this strongest structure right here, the tetrahedron. The basic structure, like the first breath. Okay. So I'm going to go back to this one in a minute, but on this maybe I need professional help card, I have the coyote going the other way. Now I made this to be a wolf, but every time I pick it up I'm getting, well, not true, because when I did Capricorn it did come through as a werewolf. But I said coyote, so it's coyote. This is like no more tricks. Like in the mind games, yes, it's going to help me expand, but I'm going to go to the professionals. I don't need to have the universe F up my stuff, right? I'm going to try to do some kind of transforming with this. I'm going to open up my horizons and go through this death phase and try to, what's it called? Release. I'm going to release my struggles in the past. I'm going to open up my crown chakra. That's a halo with wings, which also gives me that mercurial energy, which I mentioned over here. Now over here, next to healing, inverted, is this Ankh inverted, which is sort of telling me the same thing, but it's also giving me this, like, I'm trying to do lifetimes of healing as fast as I can. You need to slow down and deal with one aspect at a time. Okay. So, oh yes, most definitely I have this leaf, and it was going the other way, so it's like I'm going to turn over a new leaf. Like, I'm going to deal with this. Now, on this Five of Swords inverted, I have the thermometer. Situation's getting a little hot. This dodecahedron here, now we have this pentagonal shapes combined together into as close as they can to a sphere. So I have the number 5, which is here as well. I also have 12 because there's 12 panels. So it also gives me this idea of the Hanged Man. This guy's upside down. He wants to be a knight, but he's just sort of scavenging the battlefield. To be the knight, you really have to understand how to wield the swords. And you can't wield the sword if it's stuck in your guts. Okay? So we have this idea of 5 and 12, but 5 and 12 together is 17, the star, which is Aquarius. So it's like your 5 number and your 12 number are somewhat at odds with each other, and you can't get that full 17 to really be yourself and to get that hope and healing that the star offers as well. So going the other way, we have the podium, right? So we're having a hard time talking about it in the past, but this is why we're going to get professional help. And also the necklace, okay? Now, when I did Capricorn reading, the necklace was in the Disney Little Mermaid movie, Ursula steals Ariel's voice and puts it in the shell on the necklace. Right, so I don't want to say things that aren't true anymore, right? This isn't really my voice. Now, what? Oh my god, I actually got the Stegosaurus. I haven't gotten that yet. Wow. So not only is the Stegosaurus here on this knowledge card, but there's a bone right on top of it. Dinosaur bones. I'm reading history. I'm looking into my past, my ancient past. Maybe I'm picking up information from my past lives. That is hilarious. Right? He protect, he attack. He snack on leaf. Now also on this card, going the other way, I have a fox. Sleep with one eye open, gripping your pillow tight. And the trash chicken, the pigeon. Now, the fox could be sly. It could be a little bit of the Seven of Swords energy. It doesn't have to be. Pigeon can either crap on you or eat the bread, or it could be a dove of peace. And the fox isn't always trying to eat the chickens in the hen house. Sometimes, if you get it to the fox and get to know it emotionally, it might get to trust you and not hide behind its tail. And then if you've ever seen these videos of people with their rescue foxes or their pet foxes, they get like really excitable and friendly and loving like a hyper little dog. So there's this idea that of being able to communicate a message with someone who is able to open up emotionally. And I see this, the fox as being a fire creature, and this idea of trying to open up to emotions, to communicating, where there's a fire hydrant, before it gets to this, you know, 5 alarm level. In the past may have been more suspicious, and whenever you thought somebody was coming to get you, you would just shit on them. But here we're learning about this past and how to overcome it and make this new, complete structure to build on before you are able to fully heal all of your past lives or past actions. Alright, so that was really amusing. I'm so excited I finally got the Stegosaurus. I can't believe it came out with the bone fucking right on it. That's amazing. It's amazing! Okay, so I'm going to start another section and we'll get into this work here. This is what you do. I'm still like ridiculously giddy about getting that fucking dinosaur. Okay. So I'm going to put these charms over here for a minute and come back to them. So in the past, in terms of work, like what you're trying to do, so here in companionship with these things, we now have the 5 of rods. So like I said, before you get to a 5 alarm fire, which is right here, Saturn in Leo. So there's that devil energy again. And Leo is the sun. Right? Now, I did say winter of your discontent, and Capricorn comes right before sun sign, right before Aquarius, and this is happening in the past, right? So, like, I'm getting this idea of, like, right before I was born, I was really fucking pissed off about something. Like, I hadn't gotten over the bullshit that I had to deal with in my previous life, and I came preloaded to be a little bit aggressive with people that threatened me. That's the energy that I'm getting here. I also see 5 as a chance for pivot. There's something that this pressure of being in conflict with other people has to do with being able to create this shift in your life. So I have the Queen of Rods inverted. So not only do we have the 5, but then I have the 13 or 1. I'm not willing to transform. I'm not willing to... I'm not able to come up with creative solutions to overcome this. So I have 5 minus 4, 1 could be the Ace of Rods, but I also have this idea of the 13 inverted, which is lack of strength, right? Or lack of justice, or lack of being able to find a resolution to my problem, because I'm not able to, in the past, not able to transform, in the past, not able to see both perspectives, or from multiple sides. Now, I'll just flip this over first. So I have the 2 of Swords here, right? I can't see from both perspectives. I called out the 2 of Swords over here. This is a low vibration High Priestess. Okay, 2 of Swords, the Moon in Libra. So I called it out here, I called it out there. I'm 2 different places. I'm having a hard time overcoming this needing to come out on top, because I'm having a hard time seeing where other people are coming from. This is something that's really important for Aquarius to work on. And we're starting to see a breakdown of how this part of the light purpose is going to be achieved, right? We have stuff that's hinted at. 5 alarm fire, the number 13. the feminine energy, and then this perspective. Okay, but it's breaking it down a little bit. It's saying I can't move, but now it's saying the movement I'm trying to achieve is transition, internal movement in my core. Queen of Rods, Queen of Wands, Pisces, and Aries energy. So that's, again, the Aries energy that, well, I mean, this isn't Aries specifically, but the fire energy. Aries, Sagittarius, Leo. But combined with Piscean energy, which I said, well, maybe not in this one, but the card, the High Priestess, is the moon, but I associate her with Pisces, which is Neptune, which is currently retrograde. And again, this being the low vibrational thing, it's also a nod to that retrograde. Neptune hasn't been retrograde that long, but it's saying this is coming up now to look at in the past because the energy matches that signature a little bit. And we have this, Mars is in Aries right now, which is kicking up this last ego showdown, right? Combative ego, everyone's out to get me. I'm not in touch with my feelings. The feminine side seems mysterious, and another part of the feminine side being mysterious, right? She's always covered up. I don't see where, like, I can't see how she's similar to me, right? Like, she's the nature of the feminine energy is not naked to me. I don't know all her secrets, and it's causing me to struggle, right? I don't have knowledge of this energy. Okay, so in the present, and I will come back to these. Actually, let me, before I get to these cards. So this sword going the other way, the truth, which is what we're having a hard time looking at this other sword over here, right? This sword is the other one. This is the first sword. And this is the other one, right? Low vibrational High Priestess, Two of Swords, trying to gain this perspective, in this past not really doing it. So this was face down on here. And then upright I had the headphones with his R on it. Just because it's the right side. But it's, again, it's like I'm only listening to one side of the argument. I'm not connected, right? This isn't plugged into anything. And then I have the cell phone here, which I drew to make it look like somebody's having a text message conversation. So it's like, you might be talking to people, but you're disconnected from their point of view, and you can't see it from their side. So this might go on for like forever and ever, and you might just having an entirely air-based, swords-based argument with people all the time, which might be part of the issue in the past of trying to work trying to do the work on your energies. It's saying, like, not only is it something past life here, but it's also in the now where we have cell phones, and it's easier to just argue with people because you can take things out of context. You're not emotionally connecting with them because you're just looking at the words. And you can't see the expression on their face or often the tone of voice, right? I can't hear you, but I can see what you're saying, and it's pissing me off. Like, I am offended. Okay, so here in the present, I'm starting to gain some insight. 58, so we have 5, and then that 8 idea of potentially strength, but in this case, more likely justice. And then we have the 13, which is the Queen, right? So we're starting to turn this around. And it says, I don't want to sell out, right? I want to make sure that I'm still being me. Well, and this is a 2 and a 4. So we have this 2 of Swords number, then we have a 4. I don't think I had a 4 anywhere, but if we take this and this opposing 5, then it breaks down to -4, which is close enough. And then I have 2. 2 and 4, 6. That's that Gemini choice. The Lover's energy again. Healing. So I have 13 and 6 together, that's 19, the sun, which breaks down to 10. So I'm starting to gain some insight, but I don't want to sell out. I'm starting to see the other side, but if I take on this other perspective, am I not going to be me anymore? Also, this fish over here coming in near the moon with the chariot water energy it's like the fish in the Page of Cups' cup. I want to look at my own emotions. I'm not sure what to do with them. And I think I said that this... I might have said one of these guys on these cards wants to be a knight, but he can't move, which is a lot like a page, right? You don't have enough skill or acumen. You don't have enough acumen to be a knight. So, Page of Cups energy as well. So let me go back to these. Entering the darkness with elegance, so that's getting into that moon energy. So what looks like the absolute value of 4 actually breaks down into a 6 again. So it's like I'm taking this 2 with the swords, and I'm holding one in each hand, and I'm trying to give myself some kind of a foundation in the Emperor Aries energy, right? I'm trying to show down with my ego with these 2 swords. Alright, so this is coming in inverted somehow, which tells me that there's some kind of a difficulty. Now, the number here is 103, which is 13 with a 0 popped in it for what? The Fool, which is that mercurial energy again. There's a difference between knowing how to do it and actually doing it. Theory versus manifestation, concept versus work. So this work in the present is saying, okay, I've read the book, I know how to do it. This guy, this healing isn't happening because you didn't stay in the world and practice it. You're like, oh, in theory I know how to do it. Well, you fucked up and now your foot came off. You know? It's not to say that it's I don't want to make Aquarius sound crappy by saying it that way, but it was just kind of a comical way. It's like, you know, again, the idea of don't put the cart before the horse. Okay, you've gained the knowledge, you know how to do it, you've talked about it in therapy, but you actually have to try to do it. That page energy again, and that training energy. I need to practice. I need to enter the darkness with elegance and try to learn from what's going on here, right? So gain that insight. Just be where you are. Be present in the moment with who you are right now, and then you'll continue to be yourself and you won't have to worry about selling out. So this idea of completion, and then 3, you know, what happens is that you get this, a 10, completion, right? I'm working on it. I'm practicing. I'm manifesting this ability to see the other side of things. Then what happens, we drop in this 3, which is actually the Empress number. So once you ground yourself and stay in the moment, you'll have access to this, the other energy, right? It's like I'm only in swords, I'm only in fire, I'm only in my masculine energy. I'm going to think about it, I'm going to not feel about it. I don't have the flow to be able to link up to this psychic network. Like I can't jack into the cloud. I can only put it on the hard drive, you know? But it's this idea of when you stay in the moment and work on it, you open yourselves up to these other energies. And so in the future potential. So here we have another 5, right? So here's the 5 of Pentacles. And this sort of devilish looking character here is next to this feminine energy who looks like a dryad who's getting kicked out of her tree. The feminine energy is sad because there's this 5 number of potential conflict, but there's no strength or justice because we're ignoring the feminine energy. 5 of Cups, Mercury and Taurus, right? Now, Taurus is ruled by Venus. So it's saying like the male character is trying to rule the feminine zone. And notice that Mercury is the same symbol as Venus, but with the little horns on top, right? So Mercury is trying to pull an ace out of his sleeve, Ace of Swords, to dominate the whole energy field. And it's ending up feeling bereft of the necessary energy to have the strength and the balance. So this is coming out in for the future in the same place that this is. So I have this idea of saying, like, it's like you can't rush your change either. But I see it looks like there's a Jack of Swords here as well, which could be the Knight or the Page. And I'm feeling it's probably the Page, because that would be a 1 or 11, and then 11, and then it would be 11 again, which would make sense for this reading. Let me get back to that. Oh, we have a double here. They're both air cards. Okay, so we have the Ace of... Wait. Yeah, that's the Ace. This dragon is in reverse. And then we have the 9. Now this would normally be like a Nightmares card, but this is sort of like activating the mind. It's that this is the dream world, and this Ace inverted is actually the Nightmare. These together, well, because this is inverted, I would say this is 8 of Swords, trapped in your mental prison. Because you're trying to present yourself as the truth over all of the energies. And notice that this sort of expanding consciousness dream state, which has a sword there, that's sort of binding this feminine energy, like this sword pointing down, as this dragon is sort of binding this feminine energy here. Which is interesting, because the dragon is usually the fire animal. This is getting weird. What's this last one? Okay. 4 of Swords inverted. So this is giving this idea of like a power station. Oh, okay, this card is like this card, coming in the same position. Now notice we have 10 here, and then 1 and 9, 10 here, and then 11 and 5 here, so what's missing is the 6. We're missing that 6 number for healing over here. Okay. So knowledge is power grid. This guy looks like he could be like a little bit older version of this, but not quite like full magician. Right? He's like the Knight of Swords, which makes sense, because usually on the 4 of Swords you have a knight who's resting, right? He's in the med bay, sitting in the thing, getting his energy upgrade, like kind of like a robot, but maybe not necessarily. Opening up the solar center, being able to view both sides, and then have his crown open as well. Now this came in inverted. 4 of Swords. Jupiter in Libra. Okay. So we have Sagittarius energy with that Libra energy that I keep talking about. Sagittarius is the south node right now, and will be for a little while, so this could definitely be like later in the month of September. In this position, this is waking up after the 13, the transformation. So I have 4 here, I have 5 here, I have 9, and then I have a 9 here. And I also see it as like 4 and 1 negative is 5, kind of balancing this 5. I think maybe the charms will help explain that, because I'm sort of... It always kind of weirds me out when there's like sort of a negative card in the future position. But I think it just means that even by the end of the month, you can't like put yourself ahead of where you need to be. And that you might still be trying to get yourself to a point where you're waking up more and more to this truth of your own inner self and the union of the two opposite sides of yourself. Okay, there's the UFO. I'm surprised to see that. So, I think I'm done. Okay, so immediately over here I see the UFO. This is the Chariot in my charms. The UFO. And I have the cello. So this is about... This is sort of a communication thing. This is like the only music thing that didn't pop out in my Capricorn reading. Nearby to the headphones. Now the cello has the distinction of being able to play every note in the orchestra. At least that's what I'm told. Right? So just because you can put on whatever effects you want doesn't mean that you're speaking your own truth here, right? This podium was going the other way. Or maybe you're not, you have the ability to speak up, but you might, because it was going this way, you might not be. Also going the other way, the third eye. I'm having trouble connecting to my psychic abilities. My third eye is not available because I'm not going through this transformation, right? And again, with this idea, the paper crane going the other way, right? You fold up a square of paper, you turn it into something else. You could, I could easily just change the head and bend the tail down, and I'd have a dragon. Right? The square of paper can be folded up in any way, linearly, and come out as something else. So again, it's this idea of like who are, like what is the perspective? It could be a square of paper, it could be a crane, it could be a square of paper, it could be a rose, it could be a square of paper, it could be a little monkey, you know, like whatever. Now over here I have the emotion. Wait, that's the dolphin, never mind. It looks a lot like the water drop. So here I have the dolphin. So I don't think I have a shark, but I have the fish and I have the dolphin. The dolphin's over here going the other way. This idea of sonar. Like again, I'm not hooked up. But in the dream world, I do have access. When I'm asleep, I can connect. But when I'm awake, I don't see anything. I don't want to sell out right here next to the blood, right? It's like, if I feel like I give in to you, are you going to hurt me? If I give you an inch, are you going to give a mile? It's this idea of someone's out to get me. They're going to make me be what I don't want to be. And right here, I have this 16 tons weight here, which looks like a bell, like a cowbell. Get a fever and the only prescription is more cowbell. It also says 16 tons on it, because it's a 16-ton weight, and that gives me this idea of the tower, which I didn't think of when I was drawing it, but every time I pick it up now, I'm like, cowbell, and then I'm like, tower. So there is this idea of a need to restructure, and it landed on the absolute value of 4. Could be 141, but it also looks like absolute value. So the root of this weight of having to restructure your life is that you need to be able to go into your own darkness. Now going the other way, the front of the credit card, usually I get the back of the credit card, right? So with it going the other way, it's like it's not going to cost you as much as you think, right? So over here I have this high-heeled shoe on the concept of knowing it and doing it. And then going the other way, what's this? Okay, so I have the owl. So this is the idea of owl knowledge. The knowing doesn't necessarily mean you can do it, right? It's going the other way. And also have going the other way this little kawaii face that I made. Why is it cute? Cute owl. Cute. Just trying to figure out what these symbols mean together. It might be a rebus, but it might be something else. These are going the other way. I don't know, let me turn this over and I'll go back to that. Alright, so going the other way, I have this lion. So again, like I had said, this card isn't the strength or justice because it's still sort of denouncing the feminine energy. And then this mountain lion here can be representative of the strength. But it also could be a female lion. You underestimate the strength of feminine energy and therefore you distrust it because you don't want it to overpower you and sell out to the other side. Oh, it's cute that you read up about that, but how about you walk that walk? You know, put on these high heels and see if you can do it. So it's, I see that it's like in the present moment, it's like, oh my God, I need to do, I know what I need to do. In the future of work, or at least in the potential future, it's like I'm waking up from my dream, but I'm having a hard time holding on to the dream long enough to enact the actual healing when I get out of bed in the morning, and I'm like, I don't want to be somebody I'm not. I'm still like resisting that a little bit. Even though it makes me feel put out a little bit, like, you know, like I feel slightly out of body if I'm not in my same old position. My overall purpose is forcing me into this, you know, methodical healing. And in the present, it's like, okay, I'm starting to get it, but I want to be done already. Well, you gotta wait. You gotta get through it. Okay, so we'll get into the future, the past of relationships. So this is how you do it. Three of Cups. Party, party, party. Look at this fucking sunflower is huge. Three of Cups. What do we got here? Oh, it's Mercury in Cancer, so it's the same energies again, right? I'm gonna talk over any emotions and just, you know, not worry about it. Party my ass off and get turned so I don't have to sit by myself and think about things. So here's the Three of Swords inverted. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but here in the past of the relationships, I'm trying, right? I'm going to party away from my feelings because I don't want to be hurt. I want to get out of being hurt all the time. I don't want to... I'm not looking at the pain. I haven't got time for the pain. So we have Saturn in Libra, right? So we've been in Saturn retrograde for a little while. And this idea of being out of balance again with three feminine energies. Low vibrational Empress. Ten of Rods. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so this is the burden card, and what do we have here? Saturn in Sagittarius. So we have that South Node energy, Saturn retrograde, coming in twice. What was this one? Okay. Gemini North Node, Sagittarius South Node, Saturn retrograde. Is that the moon? No. Trying to get some balance. With my darkness, I'm trying to come out of this burden of pain, right? 13, I want to transform. 16 Tower. Well, you need to figure out a new baseline for this instead of just, partying your problems away. It's a little bit different than the Andrew WK method of party to enhance your own strength and self-confidence and energy flow. It's party to avoid, right? This one's turned the other way, and this one's hiding behind the cups. Like, I'm not going to expose myself floral emotionally. I'm going to hide from it while sort of knowing that, right underneath your feet you have this sort of pitfall situation that is sort of like the comeuppance is there, but you can't avoid dealing with this forever. Did I hold those up? 3 of Cups, 3 of Swords, 10 of Rods. Okay, so in the present, I will not blank if you don't blank. So we have conditional love here, right? I can't see from your... This is like the cell phone here. This argument. Well, you don't really love me if you won't, whatever, insert whatever there. It's like, if you don't get me flowers on Valentine's Day, then I'm going to put you in the doghouse for 6 months and hate on you and all this stuff. If you don't mow that lawn, I'm not going to have sex with you for a month. You're in the doghouse now, mister. If you don't give me $600 for whatever I want to do, then we're not in a relationship anymore. Any of those kinds of things, conditional love. Where it's predicated is like, oh, if you don't do this, you don't really love me then. It's interesting that this is coming in next to the 3 of Cups. Because the song in my music deck is Party All the Time. Right, my girl wants to party all the time, party all the time. Party all the time. Diamonds on her fingers. It's another thing that people demand is fucking jewelry. Like, whatever floats your goat there. So we have a 5 here, that 5 number that keeps popping up, the 7, which is that chariot number again, and then the 3 again. So total 15, that devil energy, Capricorn energy, that binding energy, but I also have 10, completion, and then that pivot again. So they're sort of, the numbers keep feeding back into themselves. The Hanged Man with the Empress number again. 5 and 3, 8. Strength or Justice. Right? So it's like you're shifting between these modes of conflict and wanting to move in some way, but you're not getting anywhere because you're not in a state of give and take. It's like if you only receive, then you're never giving and the energy stalls out, which is kind of why this Chariot over here is stuck as well. Alright, so we have... This is sort of upside down. You have to remind yourself that you yourself are solely in control of manifesting measurable growth in your own life. This one's also 103. So it goes right with this card. But it's coming right off of the conditional love. It's like, if you want growth in your life, you're not going to tell people to do whatever you want them to or you don't love them. It's like you need to do the work for yourself, 10, to manifest that growth. 10, 3, right here. Struggling with that concept a little bit because it was kind of upside down. Nurturing, take a week off, number 40. Okay, so new beginning, new foundation. Nurturing is that Empress number. So if we added the 3 here, we'd have the 7 with the new beginning in it. Okay, so this idea of the progression here is, in order to attain this, stop trying to manipulate other people in your life to try to fulfill your needs, take a minute, take the time to nurture your own self. Let yourself enter the darkness with elegance, right? So we have this absolute value of 4 potentially here with the 4 and nothing else next to it. But notice that the Fool is also air energy, Uranus, which is Aquarius. Okay. So then in the potential future of... And now this is really telling that these came out in the relationships area. Right? Because how you're trying to solve your conflict is by putting the onus on other people, maybe. And wondering why you're not getting anywhere. Here he is. This guy is like another magician hermit combo. Here now he's number 7, the Sage. Also could be a little bit of the Hierophant, because in my music deck the Hierophant is the song The Sage by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Now here we have this wolf, which goes back to this sort of ambiguous wolf-coyote character. And then the owl, where the fuck, the owl from down here. And then the fire, because there was fire energy over here as well. And then coming in with the number 7, which is usually the Chariot number. This is kind of in place of where the Hermit would be, which goes back to that Virgo energy, which is what we're in for most of September. Okay, so it's just sort of reiterating this idea of going through this process in the future of how you're doing things is going to make you very much wiser, and you'll be able to be in tune with the wisdom and the mischief, or the loyalty if you think of it as a dog, or this idea of being a werewolf, of being transformed by the moon energy, of the going into the darkness with elegance and coming out from the other side of the moon, is saying, I went into the darkness of the moon and I came out with the fucking Chariot. Right? I went into the cave and I came out with the Batmobile. Freaking sweet-ass ride, man. Okay. Additionally, the future. So we have the Maiden inverted. This is like this is in place of where the High Priestess would be. But it's very much like this energy combined with the Two of Swords. Because she's a 2, and she's a young female character, right? She's the young female archetype. Now this could be a young female here, it could be Hermione, but it could be a youth with long hair, doesn't really matter. But what's interesting is that even in the future of interacting with other people, this feminine energy is coming in inverted, which is a little bit unusual. But maybe it'll be clearer when we see what's over here. Okay, so we have the Ace of Pentacles. So it's sort of like going from this and saying, okay, I don't want to be in this generative dragon energy with the truth all wonky from my dreams. I'm going to manifest this new foundational seed from the beginning. What's this? 3 of Cups inverted. Wow. It's like in the future, I'm not going to rely on the partying. I'm going to rely on the manifesting. I kind of feel like this 2 and this 3 go together. Like young ladies. And I kind of feel like we're not partying, and I'm not going to be in this young woman energy because I'm taking this energy all the way out of this lower vibration. Virgo, the inner child of the Empress. And I'm going to take it all the way up to the Empress. Interesting. Okay, so there's some charms for that last section. Hopefully that made sense. Holy friggin' charms, Batman. Okay, I don't want to get any more. Now, over here on this dragon going the wrong way, I have a unicorn. Sort of tells me Ace of Swords right here. That sort of crown chakra energy again. Now, it's straddling it right nearby. Also going the other way here. We have the... This is the train crossing. So that sort of tells me the Chariot. But sort of like we're not going to keep going on these tracks. We're going to stop for a second and address this Three of Swords. Right? And you're trying to fly by the seat of your pants over and gloss over this problem here. Now the Ten of Rods down here, I've got this club here, which often tells me the Ace of Wands. But it's like Ten of Rods, Ten of Clubs, you know, I've had enough of a beating. Like, can we not? Now over here, with this hot mess over here, I have the chalet. It's like I'm trying to build a foundation, but I'm just sort of vacationing in this area of trying to interact with feminine energy, and I'm not doing it right. You know, it's like I'm not used to this area. I'm just visiting. This is what the chalet is telling me, because it's like a chalet is like you go skiing and you stay there and then you leave. And I'm not seeing it as how I usually see it, where it's like starting to build a foundation before it gets bigger. I'm seeing it more as, I don't feel familiar in this area. Like, are there mountain lions outside of here? I don't want to... I got the 2 sticks to bang them and get them to go away. Oh, wow, okay. So, over here, Three of Cups going the other way. We're not in balance with the yin-yang, with the masculine and feminine energy, if we're just partying to get away from it. Now, in between here, this conditional love and the being in charge of your own life with the 103, I believe this is the egg, right? That's the Fool, the 0, the new beginning. So the 0 that popped out. So I have 0 here, I have 0 here, and then I have this egg. Now the watch here actually fell out of the box when I was shuffling for this. This is like I'm watching the clock, right? But you need to take the time to manifest. And then I have the narwhal here. Again, swords energy. Again, dolphin energy, sonar. And then where is it? In the water. I need to be able to expand my perception of the truth while being able to be in my own feelings. So the back of the credit card here, and this somewhat Six of Pentacles-y charity. This is my charity thing here, right? A glove that's fancy with a coin, giving it to someone who has their hands outstretched and their gloves are kind of tattered on the end. But now I have the back of the credit card, right? Entering the darkness with elegance. The front of the credit card doesn't cost you as much as you think. But it's also sort of like you have to pay attention to the details, that you are in control of manifesting the measurable growth in your life. And it's also interesting that this money thing came in with this money thing here. It's almost like, if you let other people be in charge of the growth in your life, it's almost as much as letting someone else have the CVV or whatever it is on the back of your credit card. So you give up the responsibility and they might bleed you dry. And then, to add more to that, the money going the wrong way. Right? It's like you need to manifest the resources to give yourself the growth on your own. So then going the other way, we have this seed of life, which is sort of like the egg, that's indicating this need for new growth in your life right on here. And then going the other way, also the F-bomb, like Are you fucking serious? Like, I really need to? Like, yeah. So over here, falling off the edge, I have the coffee and the water droplet. So this gives me an idea of like waking up, and then this is finally way off in the distance here, off on the corner of the manifestation. It's, you know, emotional wake-up call. And then this mask going the other way is this happy. So here, I'm partying. I'm putting on a mask of revelry. But when it came down to this card, it was going the other way, so I'm not pretending anymore. And it's sort of straddling the line between these ones. Okay. So the idea of real happiness is... Oh, here's the eyeball! I didn't even see that. The eyeball fell out on the sage. That third eye is finally open, or it's like I've looked at the details. I've read the book, and now I've put myself to task. I have focused in on my process here. Okay. So I think that's enough. Let me make up my time. The overview of this whole thing for Aquarius for September is this idea of balancing polarities. Right? All of the air signs came in: Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. And it's all about manifestation, emotional proficiency, and perspectives communication. You need to do the work yourself, but it's okay to talk to somebody else, to have a sounding board to help figure out how you're going to get into this and not feel like you're losing your own self. There's this idea of like, yes, you need to have a transition, but it's not to say that, you know, you're going to be losing any part of yourself. You're going to be going through this healing, but you have to sort of, you know, you have to sort of turn the key in your own ignition and say like, okay, I want this because no one else is going to do it for me, but I am allowed to have help, right? I had to stop it, right? I had to stop my chariot on this Three of Swords energy because the engine was going to die anyway. What's interesting is that we have this idea of a sword kind of in this gut area, and over here, 3 swords in a similar area. I don't want to talk anymore. I don't think there's anything else I can describe about this reading right now. And this is also from the collective. So if you didn't feel like this was for you, or you felt like I was coming for you, not really. I'm just describing energies. As an Aquarius, the sort of oldest air sign, the idea to innovate in terms of communication and technology, you should be aware that your life purpose might involve transformation. Now, the fact that there's emotional content in here, if you look at the symbol for Aquarius, it's the squiggly lines indicating water, but it's also electricity, right? It's current. It's waveforms. It's the ability to transform and create other energies. So Aquarius shouldn't feel singled out because there's tons of people, me included, who aren't Aquarius, who have gone through similar issues. And I don't want Aquarius to feel singled out and be like, this isn't fair. It's a complex life purpose for times that are very complex. Where at the dawning of the age of Aquarius, there's a lot of issue in the world right now where we're dealing with a patriarchy that's not connected to emotional content, to empathy, or to nature, the earth, the Empress energy. And it's not just men who do it. You know, it's not just people who seem masculine. It's a lot of the planet is in this same situation. And the way that it's playing out, it's kind of like, all right, Aquarius, make the new standard for the way that people communicate with each other. It's the life purpose. So we all have our lessons that we came in here to do. So it's comparable, not always easy, but it keeps things from being boring. And I think Aquarius, you know, provided with a lesser task, would be like, all right, I finished. What am I going to do with the other 68 years of my life? I'm going to take a nap. All right. So if you want to get a personal reading, I need something to point there. You can email me, thecatcamebackatcamp@gmail.com. I have a complete list of readings in the description box of my infomercial video. I link it below my at-large YouTubes. And I've been trying to remember to post it in the little descriptions under these here in Patreon as well. So if you want to, and if it's easier for you, you can just email me and I'll get you that same list. It also includes the links to merch and prints, the catalog, which is linked in I made a post here in Patreon. That's where the chapbook packs are that I was talking about when I was shuffling the cards out. But if you want to donate besides just contributing on Patreon, you can hit me there in the tip jar, paypal.me/CATtheMinion. I also have Cash App and Venmo. Those are CATtheMinion as well. I think that's it. Yeah. So stay groovy and we'll see you later. Bye.